All right, guys, we're back. Another episode of Talking Preps. We are headed to the state third round of the playoffs, guys. I cannot believe it. There's Chris's 8-man rankings for the private schools. They're going to have state championships this week. I'm assuming Chris, Wayne Christian, and Rocky Mount Academy are going to be playing each other since they're at the top of your poll.
Yeah, that would be a pretty good assumption. That's going to be a big game. I've been a real big fan of Wayne Christian all year. Rocky Mount Academy had that big upset last week, knocking off Halifax. But I think it's going to be a good, exciting game.
All right. Well, moving on to the Division II rankings, I'm going to assume the top of that is the same as well. Well, we're going to have Trinity Christian National School facing off.
Yeah, Asheville School's a team that played a tough schedule. They beat Hickory Grove last week, 55-0. That Asheville School team's really good. Trinity Christian's really exciting team to look at coming up out of Fayetteville. Coach Webster, I like that team a lot. I think that's going to be a real contrast to styles and kind of a clash of some Titans.
All right, and then the final ranking, the private school D1, we know about Raven Gap and Providence State getting together. I'm going to let you wax philosophical on that one, but let's take a look at the private school pairings, the schedules. We kind of briefly touched on it. 8-man, we talked about Rocky Mount Academy, and we talked about Trinity Christian National School. Cam, I want to go to you first. Well, tell me about this Providence State Raven Gap game.
Going to be all about if Providence Day can stop the run. I mean, Raven Gap's got one of the biggest lines, probably bigger line than a lot of college teams, and I mean they can line up and move it against anybody, and so it'll be interesting to see what the defensive staff led by Coach Coro at PD can do to try to eliminate some of those long runs that Raven Gap can so easily get.
Dale, do you think the Providence State can do anything in round 2, having seen round 1 in person?
Yeah, I think they can. I mean, it's a lot. I mean, once you've seen the team, sure, they're not going to do the exact same things, but when Raven Gap's got an advantage like their offensive line, that's what they're going to try to, harp on and utilize. But he's just going to have to trust his playmakers. He's going to have to let Jaden Davis throw that thing, and let Channing and Jordan go up and make plays. I mean, they're playmakers for a reason.
But Dale, can Raven Gap? Yeah. I mean, can Providence State block Raven Gap, and can they stop Raven Gap?
I think that I'm certain that Chad will, on offense, come up with some plays that, one of the things, if you remember from the first game, they even had a tough time throwing short passes because of the height of the defensive line. So I'm sure that Coach Chadwick, I'm sorry, Coach Greer.
We're going to get to that.
Don't know why I got him in my head, but anyway, I'm sure that Coach Greer will come up with some plays to try to get the ball out quickly and maybe more out to the edge. I really believe for them to play in the ball game, they're going to have to put points up and keep up. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think it's a tall task, but
all right, let's jump into
Chris's 6 rushes, 14 yards by Ian Kahn in that first game. That's got to change if Providence Day is going to be successful.
Absolutely. All right, Chris, let's take a look at your 1A rankings. We're headed to Mount Airy Tarboro, I'm still assuming.
I think that those are the two classes, the East and West, respectively. Still a lot of football to be played, so I think that there could be a little bit of shakeup. But all in all, based off everything I've seen to this point, including the first 2 rounds of the playoffs, I think Mount Airy and Tarboro are probably the logical answers.
Okay, let's take a look at the 2A. 2A rankings, Clinton and Monroe. We headed to Clinton and Monroe.
That's a little bit more up in the air. I definitely like where Clinton stands. I think they're playing a lot of good football at the moment. Monroe's got a tough road, a lot tougher than what I feel Clinton's road is. So I think that 2A West is really, really good.
Yeah, and I've had some people tell me they think 2A West might be the most competitive class of all the classes. So let's take a look at it. We got Cam's picks, Chris, in bold, and go at it. There's 1A and 2A.
Well, that 1A game between Swain and Robbinsville is actually on my short list of games. I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to go to on Friday. I've seen Robbinsville once this year. Cutler Adams is just such a dynamic football player, and he's just a true grinder, a football player, not just an athlete, not blazing speed. Plays offense, defense. I like him a lot. Mountain Heritage, the quarterback with Mountain Heritage, that's a tough little battle. Traveling to Spencer to take on North Rowan. North Rowan has big play capability, but I just think that the physicality of that Mountain Heritage team, that's one to look at. I like Eastern Randolph a lot. Obviously Mount Airy. I know Murphy's a tough game, but I just don't think they've got quite enough to deal with Mount Airy. Again, on the western side or the eastern side, I think it's all Tarboro. I don't see a whole lot. My one spoiler in the east could be East Bladen. I don't think they got enough to beat Tarboro, but I definitely see them winning big against Rosewood. Otherwise, I really like Cam's picks there. Shifting over to the 2A, Reedsville, I think, something about this Reedsville team. I look at them on film. Coach Eric Teague, remember that's the younger son of Coach Jimmy Teague, been there forever. Reedsville just for some reason looks really special. I've seen them get a lot better from week 2, week 3. They nearly lost that opening season game to Western Alamance. I like Reedsville a lot. That Bunker Hill game, I think Bunker Hill's got enough to keep Monroe on the edge. Don't know if they got enough to win it, but we'll see. I really like this Salisbury team. Had a chance to see them Thursday night. Salisbury is probably one of the best 2A teams I've seen this year. Haven't seen them all, but I've seen a couple of them. They're just so good all over the field. The 2A East, looking at Cam's picks, kind of hard to go against those, except I really like Whiteville. Whiteville was in my preseason top 5. If you look way back into July, August, I think Whiteville's a team on a mission.
All right, Grice, the game that kind of catches my eyes at Forest Hills and community school games, is that going to be 50-49?
If there's a game that game will be for sure. I mean, Forest Hills always has a dynamic offense, and I think Community School of Davidson, again, we know from years past they can put the points up. I mean, I think those are two really good football teams, and what I would expect, like you stated, to be a high-scoring game.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, Grice, we're going to find out who you picked for your North Carolina Players of the Week. Mr. Griner wasn't around when we filmed this week. He had a little issue. But we're going to find out who Grice's gems are. We'll take a break, then we'll come back and break down the 3A and 4A classes.
What's going on, everybody? Hey, it's that time of week, my favorite segment of the week. Having to do it solo today. My man Griner's getting ready for a big-time game this week in the playoffs. So I said, no problem. I got time on my hands. We can do it. Let's go ahead and get into this week's Grice's Gems. We have Keyshawn Barrino from Butler High School. The junior receiver caught 4 passes for 137 yards and 2 touchdowns in a huge 47-7 win over West Forsyth in the second round of the 4A playoffs. Barrino also ran twice for 16 yards. He's averaged 36.9 yards on 7 touchdown runs and 30.8 yards on 5 touchdown receptions this season. He's also done his thing through the air. He has a 10-yard touchdown pass. This do-it-all kid is primed for a big-time play. Got to get a guy like that on Grice's Gems. Let's move forward. We're going to go forward to Ian Klein, a name you all have heard from Providence Day, in a big 45-37 win over Charlotte Christian in the NCISAA semifinals. Klein carried 19 times for 223 yards and a score. He also caught a pass for 14 yards. It was a big game, so they needed him on the other side of the ball. He had a 1 QB hurry, and he recovered a crucial onside kick. This kid has been doing it big time since he has arrived in Charlotte. He's done everything we expected of him, and I had to get him on here again as a big-time Grice's Gems. Congrats to you, Ian. Let's go out to Shelby. Again, Shelby's had their history of great quarterbacks, and this one is no different. Land Farmer, the sophomore quarterback, was 16 of 23 for 356 yards and 2 touchdowns in a big 41-21 win over Lincolnton in the second round of the 2A playoffs. We know Shelby has great big-time quarterbacks. They've had guys in the past that have done it. Lee was the last quarterback, Dalen Lee. He's moved on. We have another guy that looks to be here for a while. The way he delivers the ball, we knew we were going to have him at some point. We are glad to have Land Farmer on as they've got some big-time games coming up in their 2A playoffs. We'll move it forward to go down east big time to Hertford County. We've got Ramirez Williams. Again, if I pronounce that wrong, my apologies, though. But in a big 58-44 win over Wallace Rose Hill in the second round of the 2A playoffs, He caught 3 touchdown passes, also had a fumble return for a score, and took a kickoff. Again, house call, took a kickoff for a touchdown. So this guy was a major, big-time impact player. And to beat a team like Wallace Rose Hill out of Teaching, North Carolina, we knew it was going to take a big-time performance. For somebody to do like that, we knew we had to get you on Grices Gyms. Congrats. Let's move forward to who got the call. Yep, we had to take it back to my hometown, back to my home city, the 336. And we've got Mitchell Summers here from Grimsley. Mitchell, let's talk about how your game went this past week over Sun Valley. Again, you're a junior. I felt like you've been playing ball for so long with the way you were able to play in key moments. But the junior running back ran 24 times for 290 yards and 6 touchdowns. That's 6 touchdowns in a big 56-24 win over Sun Valley. Sun Valley had a big time year this year. And again, for you to do that, we definitely know that you were doing your thing. So I'll let you talk about your game first and just how you felt you were able to impact as you guys are really getting primed for a big time playoff run.
As I was talking to my dad, he has been telling me I needed to be more vocal with my O line. So I have been talking to my O line, especially this game. I was talking to him a lot and preaching that I just need the little hoes because I will make y'all look good if y'all make me look good. So I was preaching to my O line to keep me safe and I do the rest.
Oh, I understand that. So again, we knew last year, I think you had an over 100-yard game for your Grices Gym last year as a sophomore. But talk about, so I'm sure you didn't play a ton of JV, but I need to know that game that you went out there and realized, oh, this is easy. Like, it's time to move me up. Because I know you had to have at least that moment. You didn't play JV long. Maybe you didn't even play it at all as good as you are. But you had to tell me about that moment that you knew, like, all right, it's time for something a little bit better.
I was on JV my freshman year, and I respected my coaches, so it was their decision to have me on JV. So I
For sure.
worked as hard as I could, and when I knew I could hang with them is my freshman year. I was with, that senior team was Travis Shaw
Yeah.
and Tori Thompson and people like that. I was on scout team for them, and that's when I knew that as time goes on, I can hang with them, especially my first
Yeah.
varsity game against Cox Mill. I was on kickoff. I had begged to be on kickoff, and
Yeah.
I had ran somebody flat over, and I just knew from them on that I could compete.
Oh, did you get up and say anything, or to other people? Because when you're a young guy, you really don't say nothing. When it's that moment you realize, like, okay, but your guys around you. So was it like you got up and like talk, like let them know, or like everybody around you kind of push you and like, yeah.
Everybody around me had pushed me because I was on our sideline at the time. So as
Yeah,
soon as I had hit him, I'm pretty sure we almost caught a flag because everybody was coming on the field. They was pretty hyped.
definitely. All right, real quick, one thing, favorite after game or weekend spot. I'm from Greensboro. I got to hear your favorite spot, real quick.
Stephanie's.
Great call. All right. Now I would say I love Jake's back in the day when I go hang out. Stephanie's is always a good food spot. So I had to have that. I knew it had to be quick, and that was a great call. But the question I gotta ask, especially the 336-704, is somebody like me who knows both sides of that. Got the big game against Huff. Last year again, that was an instant ESPN classic. I think it's a lot of hype on both sides and both cities that's building up about that. Can you talk about your mentality and just the team's mentality when y'all knew win this game and who's on that schedule, coming into like really your first big game?
Looking forward, I already knew that we was going to have to go against Huff. I was already planning for this game, and Huff is a very good school. If not, they are the best defensive team that I've ever played against. That I can say that proudly. As our team, we preached even after the game that we needed to come in locked in. We needed to do everything right in practice, no joking around. And my mentality is that when we play against them, I want to leave everything on the field. I want to play. I want to play happy because that's how I play my best. My dad has always told me that I'm not like my brother where I play with anger. I always play with happiness. So I just want to have fun on the field and play with my brothers.
Definitely. Well, Mitchell, again, as someone from Greensboro who played high school football in Greensboro, proud of you. Definitely glad to have you on, and it's an honor to have you as a Grices Gym this week.
Thank you so much.
All right, if you think you have a great big time playoff performance that's worthy of a Grices gem, please reach out to me on Twitter at Coach J Grice. Reach out to Langston Wirtz at Langston Wirtz Jr. or at Observer Preps. You guys have been sending me your big time performances. Salute to you guys, even you guys that don't make it. I see that and I'm aware. And again, I'm proud of you guys for having those big performances and big moments. But as we always say at this time, if you ball, you'll get the call. See you next week.
Deer Park is celebrating its 150th anniversary. Let's take a look back.
Deer Park? That's good water.
You can taste how pure Deer Park is.
Deer Park, that's good water.
Filtered naturally beneath the earth
For a crisp, refreshing taste.
Deer Park.
Deer Park.
Deer Park. Deer Park.
That's still good water.
After 150 years, there's only one thing left to say. Deer Park, that's still good water.
How did you all get in here?
All right, we're back, Chris. Here's the 3A rankings, and I still don't see a certain team from the west side of Charlotte.
Well, they're right there on the fringe. They got every opportunity in the world to be very high up in the rankings this upcoming week. One thing you'll notice, though, is Crest moves all the way down from number 1 to number 3. They had that tough game against, a Statesville team. I still think that Crest has kind of been up and down, even being undefeated. You just see them play inspired one week and just not as tough the next week. I know a lot of that's got to do with competition, and that's in no way, shape, or form a dig at Coach Sosby. And also I just think it shows that the narrow gap between 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 or maybe 3 in the 3A is just razor thin.
Yeah, you have changed the top of the 3A poll at least 5 times. So, I definitely agree with you.
Again, it's 71st is right there in the mix as well. So let's take a look at the 4A. Again, not a lot of changes right there. Again, I think Grimsley, Rollsville, and Butler are head and shoulders far and away above everybody else in the state. I know Huff is going to have a little bit to say about that this week. But I think those teams are just so good, whether talent, scheme, coaching, all of them have a little bit of a different flavor to them. But again, that 4A Fight Club is going to be really exciting to watch over the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Wow, I mean that says a lot about Huff drawing a line before you get to Huff. I like that Huff football team. I think they're going to be pretty good. I'm going to take
Huff's defense is as good as it gets. It really is.
All right, Chris, let's take a look at these games. Let's start over on the 3A side. We're going to start out with Mr. Sam's game. Go ahead.
Yeah, looking at Cam's picking Crest over West Charlotte. Hard to disagree with that when you look at the numbers and you look at everything. But unfortunately, football's not played on paper. It's played on grass and dirt and sometimes turf. And I know that West Charlotte team, I've seen them earlier in the year against a really physical, tough team. I have a feeling that's going to be a down-to-the-wire game. It's not one of those, I'm just saying 14, 15-point game before they even show up. I think that Crest, if they want to win, they're going to have to win it, and that's definitely a compliment to Coach Griner. Looking down there, Dudley going to be heavy favorites. Oak Grove and West Henderson, I think, is an up in the air game. I could see where Cam would go Oak Grove. I think, if you look at the receivers on that West Henderson team and just how awesome that team is of moving the ball down the field and scoring on deep passes. I think that West Henderson team's a lot better than I think a lot of people give us credit for. Hickory and AC Reynolds, I think, is a tough game. AC Reynolds, how they won a game last week, 15-0, holding Crest, or when they only had, I think, 25 total yards in the game, is probably the craziest stat I've ever seen in my life. That was an interesting game. I like Reynolds a lot in that game, though. Looking at the East, Scotland County's kind of a team I've got my eyes on. I know Northern Nash is really good, but I think I would go with that Scotland team as well. Other than that, the only hiccup, and I think Southern Alabama to win, but going against a Terry Sanford team that's really good, that's hard to stop. Still a lot of up in the air uncertainty with Southern Alamance with Coach Fritz Hessenthaler getting dismissed a few weeks ago. I just don't know, without having a head coach there, how they're going to advance in the deep rounds. We'll certainly see. Looking at the 4A Fight Club there in the East.
Hold on before we get to the 4A Fight Club. I want to get a little comment. Alex, what game in the East catches you in the 3A side? Give me one.
On the 3A side, I think that that Northern Nash at Scotland County game. Northern Nash with that big win over Southern Nash. 2 intra-county rivals, fierce rivals who battled in the regular season, and Northern Nash got the short end of the regular season, but atoned for that last week, is playing really, really well. Scotland County, as Chris said, it's all about matchups. And Scotland is in a position where they've gotten some momentum back after that regular season ending loss to Richmond and are playing really, really well. So I think this matchup right here, given what these two teams have done the last couple weeks, is the one that catches my eye.
Zay Jones of Scotland County. Zay Jones is one of the Elite Eight finalists for Mr. Football. All right, now we got to go to the human bulletin board. Gary, tell me about West Charlotte and Crest. Give Crest some bulletin board material and give Sam some.
Well, Sam has held that West Side home field for the last couple of weeks. It's time to turn into Road Warriors. We got a little theme about Road Warriors. Now it's time to be the ultimate Road Warrior. It's do or die. And I think Slam's going to have some tricks up his sleeve. The main thing is, can they stay on schedule? They can't play behind the chains all night and expect to beat Crest.
Yeah. Sam, I'm going to give you the floor. Don't get yourself in trouble. What do you have to do to end your Cleveland County jinx?
Just, Cleveland County is great football. All around the board, this is the time we expected to be in this scenario where we're going to have to go against the best team in the state. Best team in the state, not due to Chris rankings. All of a sudden, he wants to motivate them for some reason. Don't know why. But, Natavius Husky is one of the best players in the state. He's up for the Mr. Football Award, among a few other ones. And I'm watching him on film. They're amazing. They're an amazing football team. In that environment you got to play in, it's very tricky. I think our kids will rise up to that occasion. And we've been battle tested all year long. We are excited about this opportunity, thrilled to be here. We're not overlooking anybody no more. We are ready to roll, and we're welcoming the opportunity and excited about it. So,
Sam, you need to put a couple of fish plates in the locker room. Give them that home smell. Give it that.
Crest got some good. Crest got some good press box food too. I don't think they had a fish. They had some good food though. They had a good barbecue last time I was there. All right, Guru, tell me about the 4A East.
Now the whole thing not bull crap. I got one more thing to say. All these guys, none of these other guys on here ain't got no believers in here. I don't like Coach said from the wedding. I don't need nobody putting us in no daggone rankings if things go West Charlotte's way. We just keep us out of that thing. Keep us out of that.
If you win, you will be ranked. Trust me. Guru, 4A East.
All right, 4A East, I think is a fairly got a couple really exciting games. Again, I think Rollsville is probably one of the most talented teams in the East. Taking on a Fuquay Varina team who is kind of this year's Cinderella. We always seem to have a Cinderella come in 4 wins. All of a sudden now they've won 2 in a row. So we'll see how that works out for the Bengals. Clayton at Cardinal Gibbons, I think, is probably the most exciting game in the 3A or in the 4A East and really in the entire state. It's in my top 3 for great games. I think that's going to be a tremendous, tremendous ball game. Again, it's one of the final 2 or 3 I'm thinking about heading over to. Laney at Hogger to be a tough one. That's a rematch from earlier in the year. That Hogger team, they just seem like they've got all the answers to me. And I'm looking forward to possibly a Hogger and maybe a Cleveland battle next week. That was 28-20 game in week 1. And then, that New Bern team, I think that's a team on a mission. You look at all the turmoil that surrounded the season, based off of last year losing their state championship, insert a new coach and Terrence Saxby that came over from Hartford. And that New Bern team's actually a really good team. I don't know if they've got enough to beat Cleveland. I think Cleveland is one of the most complete teams that just don't make a whole lot of mistakes in the 4A. There's some fun-looking games.
All right, this is my favorite moment of the show. I've been waiting on this. Tell me, Alex, about the Fighting Scott Chadwicks against Nick Drew's defense.
Actually, this is a great matchup, as Chris said, and it is the game I will be at on Friday.
Oh, I'm so surprised. I'm so surprised you're going to Cardinal Gibbons.
This is a tremendous game. You take Jonathan Montague, the dynamic Clayton quarterback, and it really is a test both ways. I mean, yes, we all know that whether we're talking Cleveland, whether we're talking Rollsville from the past couple of years, that what teams were able to do against Nick Drew's defense was a determinant as to what would happen in the later round of the playoffs. This is Clayton's opportunity right here. And this is a statement opportunity for Scott Chadwick and the tremendous job that the previous Myers Park coach has done in Johnston County. I mean, you remember this Clayton team, they did not lose to Cleveland. Cleveland made a play on the last play of the game. So I mean, this Clayton team is very, very good. And this is another exciting situation where, like Omari and Hampton 3 years ago, what can Jonathan Montague do in terms of setting the tone for the comments against Nick Drew's defense? Equally important.
He's having a monster.
Oh, he is. He is exceptional. And then the flip side for the Crusaders defense is the same, just like it did against Omari and Hampton 3 years ago. You cannot focus solely on Jonathan Montague, or you're going to get beat on something easy. So for all of those reasons and more, this is the game in the state right here.
The game in the state. All right, Chris, tell me about the 4A West, rather. Sorry.
Yeah, 4A West. You got a game of two teams that know each other really well, two different styles of football or similar styles of football. When Catholic goes over and takes on Weddington, I don't really disagree with Cam's picks very, very much in that one. I think Weddington is going to be favorites, but I think it's still going to be a tough ball game, one that Weddington's going to have to win. Huff at Grimsley, I think Grimsley is one of the most complete teams in the state. There's just very few deficiencies on that squad. From the coaching staff all them down. I think that Huff, and I've seen them earlier in the year, I think they've got one of the top 2 or 3 best defenses in the 4A. I really like the physicality of Huff. I just don't know, and I know that Coach Baker, they'll probably put this on a repeat in the locker room, and I understand them doing so. I just don't know if they've got the offensive firepower to go up there and win it at Grimsley. We'll see. That's, again, one of the games that I've kind of got circled that I'm trying to decide if I want to go to Friday. Looking there, Butler, I think Butler is just going to be decided favorites against Mount Tabor, and then Independence of Watauga. Independence going up on the hill. We've seen Watauga defend that home turf back-to-back weeks. I think Indy's got enough firepower, I think, to get up there and make something happen. But we'll see. I think it'll be a good ball game.
Gary, I got to come back to you. I want to get your thoughts on several of these games. But let's start out with Independence going up to Watauga. Watauga beat Hickory Ridge, and they beat Mallard Creek. Those are 2 middle-of-the-road Charlotte area teams this season by record. I'm just calling it by record. Independence is one of the upper echelon teams. Do you think Independence will go up there and get it done?
I think they will be. I think they will be able to get it done. Watauga struggled in the first half against Hickory Ridge and resorted to onside kicks and trick plays to pull away. We knew Mallard Creek was up and down all season on offense. And
what'd you call their offense earlier this year?
Pop Warner. Throw it to the sideline and hope Jimmy missed the tackle. That's all. That was their offense most of the season. But I thought Watauga might get overwhelmed by their size and speed, but they didn't. But I think Independence is a more complete team than Mallard Creek was, even though Mallard Creek beat them the first game of the season. I still think Independence is a more complete team.
Right.
And, I think that DJ McFadden is great at game planning. I think he's one of the best game planners in the city. And I think he'll have something ready for Watauga.
Yeah, I think Mallard Creek failed to get the ball to their star player last week. I don't think DJ McFadden will do the same this week. Sam, how does Butler and Independence avoid looking ahead to a potential game of the century next week that we need to move to Memorial Stadium?
Well, definitely their head coaches are never going to overlook an opponent. This is an opportunity for both of them to make, the semifinal, regional final type deal in a while. And I think Butler and Independence are definitely looking forward to that situation. I think both of them can pull that off. But you got 2 head coaches that really are going to focus on the game plan at hand. Mm-hmm. I mean, Watauga, like it or not, they still are 12-0. It's hard to beat a team that's undefeated. They find ways to win. And you're playing at that spot in a cold environment. If it's cold Friday night, if it's rainy or any situation, Watauga is used to playing in that type of deal, even though there's no home field advantage based
snowing.
upon,
Could be snowing.
Could be snowing, but that would be no advantage based upon one of our members on this panel.
I think Watauga having turf now, that kind of the weather won't play as much of a factor.
Well, and I don't want to get Alex and Dale started, but they are going up 1,500 feet. I know that Alex doesn't think that makes a difference. Dale thinks it makes a difference. I was over at Independence today, and DJ McFadden talked about getting ready because they do believe it makes a difference. They're going to do some special things to try to get ready.
And I think that, like,
but that's the point right there. DJ understands what he has to do as a head coach, and he's taking the appropriate steps to get it done. And that's what the name of the game is. So kudos to DJ. Kudos to DJ.
No doubt. All right.
Well, the thing, Independence is a very sneaky, good defense. I think they're going to have a good defensive line front. They'll have a good game plan going against Watauga. The one aspect that you have is, Hickory Ridge put up some good points versus Watauga. Independence has a very potent offensive scheme, running the ball as well as passing the ball. And I think that that's what was lacking a little bit with Malley Creek, and you're going to get that in doses versus Watauga. But Butler is probably a heavy favorite versus Mount Tabor, obviously. So there's a great potential of that matchup, no doubt.
All right, Cam is picking Huff, Gary, in the Grimsley game. We heard Mitchell Summers, the Grimsley running back, talk about how Huff was the best defense he's seen. Do you think Huff can go up there and win, or do you think Grimsley's going to do it again? These teams played last year, a little controversial with some of the calls, but Grimsley won last year.
I think Huff can go up there and win because I think they have the best defense left in the playoffs.
No, outside of Butler.
I think Huff's defense is just as good. I think Butler's a more balanced team.
Yeah.
And then also Huff has that kicking game. So if they can flip the field when necessary and play the field position game. And, their offense just can't keep going 3 and out. That's the biggest thing. They got to get a couple of first downs, whether they score or not. They got to get some first downs to try to keep that Grimsley offense off the field as much as possible. And then play the field position game with their kicking game, and they got a chance.
Yeah, I think Grimsley's going to be able to pass the ball to move it on Huff, and passing against Huff might not be the best thing for the defensive backs. And I think the same thing was on the flip side. I think this is going to be a heavyweight matchup. I think this is the game in the state. I know you guys think others, but I think this is the game in the state. I think Catholic and Weddington is going to be a great game. I just think this is one of the best weeks of football we've had,
no doubt.
And I'm glad that we got the number one voice high school football in full mode tonight, breaking it down.
No doubt. I got one thing to say about Huff, the difference between Huff's team this year and last year. I think that last year you had bigger names offensively or whatnot.
Yeah.
But they still have always been a great defense. They've been the last few years, I think, top to bottom.
Chachi does a great job. You got to give Chachi his props.
Yeah, well, Stevie Williams is part of that too. Now, don't remember, I've always told you that.
Stevie Williams, yes,
all right, so check it out. But the thing is different about this year is that Huff understands their identity. They weren't competing with their defense. Last year, it felt like they were competing with their defense instead of playing to the identity of the defense, and the special team factor is they understand punt's not a bad play.
Right.
Punt's not a bad play. And last year, they thought punt was a bad play, and they would turn the ball over in situations and hurt the defense. I think this year's identity of them running the football, taking some shots here and there, but a field goal, they get 3 field goals. That's like having that's like a 14, 15-point advantage with their defense.
Speaking of field goals, Sam, Nolan Hooser is 2 points away from 400, which would be third in national history in points scored by kicker, I believe. I think the record is 428 by the Albemarle kicker, Tyler Lewis. I don't know. They'll have to keep playing for him to get there, but he's definitely got a shot to do something. So right now we're going to check out who the fresh faces of the week were. Again, Sam wasn't on fresh faces this week. He had a little incident. But he'll be back next week.
Hit a deer.
Hit a deer. Yeah. We'll do fresh faces. We'll take a break. We'll be back to Coast versus Coast.
What's going on, Fresh Faces? We've got another one here. This is Logan Potes out of Weddington. This 6'1", 275-pound senior has started since he was a sophomore. And as an offensive guy, I'm looking at his Coach Capone has him on that left side of that left tackle position. That's one of the most coveted positions by an offensive lineman. And he shows through his film that he's well worth it. One of the biggest things that you see on film with him is the way he finishes. If he's got a guy and that guy's on skates, he's going to make sure that guy finishes in the dirt with everything that he has. And the way that they've played a tough schedule this year, he's gone against some of the best, and he's looked good. Watching him get out there and use the athleticism on the screen lets you know he can do it all as an offensive lineman. Logan Potes, welcome to Fresh Faces, and look forward to seeing you this week against Catholic. Welcome to Fresh Faces. We've got Parker Ludwig here. Funny quick story. He reached out to me, looking forward to hopefully being a Grices gym next year. So I had to cut on his film. So as I cut on his film, again, he's 6', 200-pound junior linebacker, had 48 tackles, 9 QB hurries, and a fumble recovery this season for the Ardrey Knights. And watching him, again, how fast he goes downhill when he recognizes run. I mean, he's a guy, again, he can go downhill, scrape over top the offensive lineman to deliver a crushing blow to a running back attempting to make a big play. This kid's film really shows that he's a player that's going to be crucial for this Ardrey defense next year. Look forward to watching him, and I know he'll continue to work in the offseason and get better. But Parker Ludwig, welcome to Fresh Faces, and I definitely will see you soon.
Deer Park is celebrating its 150th anniversary. Let's take a look back.
Deer Park, that's good water.
You can taste how pure Deer Park is.
Deer Park, that's good water.
Filtered naturally beneath the earth.
For a crisp, refreshing taste.
Deer Park.
Deer Park.
Deer Park. Deer Park.
That's still good water.
After 150 years, there's only one thing left to say. Deer Park, that's still good water.
How did you all get in here?
All right, we ready, man? It looks like it's that time of the week, heading into the third round of the 2023 high school football playoffs. I got my man Coach on one side, my man Coach on the other side. Actually, that's Coach Sam Griner, Coach Jonathan Grice. They flipped sides on me this week, but we did the ceremonial coin toss before the game. And, of course, Sam Griner said he wanted to defer, play some defense. So here we go. Let's lock the door.
Welcome to another edition of Thunderdome.
I threw Langston a curveball by doing the intro before the music, but here we go. Coach Grice, this one here is for you. First question of coach versus coach. Will the 7 classification system that's coming make high school football more or less competitive?
Oh, it's going to be way more competitive. I mean, you're going to have a lot of these teams. We already talked about the 4A Fight Club, and the rationale with a lot of that and what we call the Fight Club is a lot of these teams that'll be in that 7A. I mean, you see some of these schools with just super high, ADM, super high, amount of students attending their school. We even see with 4A, a team like Watauga, they're going to be in like a 5A or 6A as they only have 1,500 students, I think, around about that attend their school. So you're going to see in each division, you'll have some of these great teams. But I mean, I can't wait to see, somebody like Sam Griner going against some of these other Gaston and Cleveland County schools that are probably very similar to him, which ain't too far away from the West Side. I look at, once they do this, a lot of these Cabarrus County teams, like a JM, maybe a Concord, Hickory Ridge, kind of all being in the same area. So what you'll have is a lot of these kids that are right near each other are going to be playing some of the schools that they haven't played in a while. So you're going to see some of these area rivalries that are going to reignite because you're going to have a team more spread out. So guys in your neighborhood and schools in your neighborhood with similar ADMs are going to be playing each other. That's going to be more fun.
I mean, I would slightly disagree. They have to get the classifications right. Like if you have, like we'll use West Charlotte example, if they got 1,700 students and we're still in 7A playing 2,500, student ADMs, then it's not going to help at all. We have to make sure we get it right. That's the key. Can they get the 7 classifications right? Like everybody, we got seven things here. Like just in case, like say the 7A class only has 20 teams in it. Okay, then leave it at 20 teams. Don't try to make it 36 teams and then have this wide range of ADM. They got to get it right for it to be super competitive because we'll be in the same situation. We'll just be giving out more trophies and be in the same situation we're in now. So it just depends if they get the classifications right. I want everybody to be within 100 ADMs to make sure it's perfect, no doubt.
Very good point by both of you, gentlemen. You're right, Sammy. You got to get it right. I'm still up in the air. I want to see what it looks like first. But anything's better than where we're at with 4. So we'll see how it works. Okay, staying with you, Coach Griner. Second question here, Coach versus Coach tonight. Best recruiting advice for parents and players when in the transfer portal era that we're in.
For college aspects, huh? Do not put your name in the transfer portal unless you already have a home. That is the key. I've seen tons of people that just don't understand the situation. I'm not playing this, that, and the other. They think they're going to go into another situation. An example would be someone is at, Louisville College. They're a freshman. They got redshirted. You know what? I don't really like this situation. Do you honestly think you're going to go to someone comparable from like a Louisville? Now all of a sudden you're going to end up in another ACC school in Syracuse or whatever the case may be, and all of a sudden have an opportunity to go play or even get a scholarship. No, you were going to go down to the group of 5s, and then you're going to maybe possibly go D2 based upon your situation. Make sure you have a home. Your education is so important. Okay, make them force you to leave. Do not keep grinding because life is tough. Do not get in the portal unless you already have a home. The portal is really for only certain situations, in my opinion. It's for someone that's a graduate transfer that's making it easy. Like, you know what? I've gotten my degree. I'm going to roll the dice. Okay, boom, go for it. You want to be a quarterback. They only got one of those guys playing. I get the situation. Someone that's in Division II that's been balling out, that someone's itching at you on your DMs. Hey, I can go to Group of 5. I can go to Power 5 now, whatever. Someone that knows they're going up. They got game film. These guys that are not playing, get better. Get better. You got to have game film to transfer. It's just that simple. Too many people don't like their situations means you just don't work hard enough. Work harder before you get in the portal. That's all it is.
Ooh, y'all let him go. He's out there spitting some knowledge for y'all. I think even on the high school end with that, I tell a lot of these parents is just because, you think you're at a certain level, don't be afraid to take that step below the level you think you may be at and go play your way. I always point out the kid from Allen Creek, Jacob Roberts. He's a phenomenal example of a kid who went to North Carolina A&T, was, probably projected to be a little bit higher than that, but he was a guy that was content with going to an established program that's going to be successful at the level that he's at, and not just say, I'll take the worst Group of 5 school to be called Group of 5. He took a solid FCS team. He's a part of that, was a big and a key player on that team, and went through the portal and got to Wake Forest, where he's doing the same thing he was doing at North Carolina A&T. If you are that quality, go to a school where you can play immediately, get that time, get that film to show you're a qualified, you're a player that can play at a different level. Show those big time schools, hey, I can play at your level and play better than the guys you have now. That way, when you enter the portal, you're entering the portal to suitors, not entering the portal wishing and begging for a handout. So really accept whatever level, because a lot of these guys now are probably projecting about a half to a full level below where you used to be. The portal now is for a way to potentially play your way up if you're worth it. So that's exactly the thing for me. Make sure you know where you're supposed to go, take care of business, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, I think both of you guys are going to get the bell on that one. A great answer from both of you guys, coaches. I really like it a lot. Coach Grice, we're going to stay with you here on this final question, coach versus coach. If coaching pay doesn't change in CMS, is Charlotte's future as a North Carolina King in jeopardy? Good question.
I think it could be. I mean, even for me going to Cabarrus County as I have been the last 2 years, I did not realize that your pay goes up based on years of experience, Griner. And Griner, one part I do like, I get half my money during the year. I can't get some of my money during the year, as you well know, Griner.
Them diapers are tough right now.
Hey, them diapers don't wait till the end of the season to come due.
That's right.
My baby's going through those diapers in the middle of the year, so I don't mind that boost. I think you do see other areas that are able to do a lot more things to provide some sort of support, even if the pay specifically isn't a whole lot more. There are other things like coaches are going to appreciate getting some of that money in the middle of the year. It's a little easier to go to practice after I got half that money in the middle of the year, and you get those middle of the season blues. So there are things that CMS needs to look at doing, even if you can't directly increase the money. Things like that, front loading some of the money, doing things of basing it off years of experience specifically. And there are other intricacies that I am not exactly privy to by not being in the school system, but definitely CMS needs to do things to be more competitive. That's another reason I stay on the South Side, baby. If I need to go cross that border, Grounder, it's always that availability, and I'm not the only coach who feels that way.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. You're going to lose someone that doesn't have a lot of years of service and not invested. Like DJ McFadden keeps this run going. You're trying to tell me a South Carolina school or someone in Georgia across the border, like he only has, a couple years invested in CMS. He's not waiting 30 out right now. He's gone. He's going to race and chase the money. Now, someone like a Hales has got a lot of years invested. Yeah, he'll probably wait it out, and you'll keep a guy like that. But over time, you're going to lose these coaches that are very, very key, not just to the football, but the culture success of the school. And I think that what CMS is missing out on is that football teams control a lot of the culture. It starts the year off. If your football team's doing really good, the school does a lot better. The culture of the school is everybody's happy to come to school. They talk about it. The teachers are interacting with the football team. They can be leaders throughout the school. Cheerleading teams more involved. All this stuff is a culture of the school. The principals need this situation to go well for their school to be better. And all you have to do, like Coach says, if you got 12 years experience, hey, well, I'm there year 13, I get a little bit more of a bonus. A guy that's been coaching like hell is 20-something years doesn't mean you need to get paid the exact same as someone that just gets year one, and now this guy's coaching 4 years longer than the other guy. This is ridiculous, and they're getting taxed at a 50% type rate.
Yeah.
It's a joke. I mean, you're not going to be able to hold on. And if it's not just based upon sports, make sure you look at it as a culture of the school. You're going to lose great cultures that are established right now.
Yeah. I saw the published article in the Houston Chronicle this week in Texas. I think it's like the top 14 coaches in Houston, Texas, ranged from 179,000 down to like 114. Just crazy expensive dollars that they're pouring out.
Gary, 1 minute. What's going to happen to CMS? They don't pay the coaches.
That's on the coaches. Because CMS hadn't been paying their coaches for over 30 years. They've been extorting their money.
Hold out.
For half, taking half of it in taxes for years. So unless the coaches are proactive, nothing's going to happen. My suggestion would be, is that first Friday night in August, don't show up.
Oh.
There ain't no games until you pay us. They're not in breach of contract because you don't get a coaching contract.
That's right. It's a bonus. It is a bonus.
Your coaching contract. It just say you're on staff, and they ask the AD who we paying. We're paying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You don't sign anything. Okay. So
how much is it to get in the CMS game right now? Is it $8?
It's $8. I think it's $8 or $9.
What if CMS put a $1 surcharge on that ticket and put that in the pot to pay the coaches?
Just based upon years of service. That's something simple.
That too, but I'm saying if they raise additional funds that way, would that make sense or not?
It would make sense, but until you put pressure on the people that make that decision, which is the school board, that's who it is.
It's got
and the school board is the school board is going to blame it on the county commission, and we got to do this with the money. But what they don't realize, athletics is the front porch of your house. Of the schoolhouse. Athletics is the front porch. So when you're looking at a school, one of the first things that kids look at is, what are the extracurricular activities at this school?
That's right.
They all have the same.
When you go to a college website, they got athletics right there on the masthead.
That's right. So
they know what time it is.
That's the front porch of the schoolhouse is the athletic program, whether it be football, basketball, soccer, whatever.
Yeah.
And we get on here and argue about football coaches, but all the coaches need extra pay. The soccer coaches don't get playoff pay.
And they get half the money the football coaches do. All right, I'm running heavy, so I gotta put the big star in this one shot and go for it, Sam.
Well, I just want to shout out. I think that we don't give enough credit to the grandparents. I'm really starting to see if in today's culture, we have not just the men working, we have a lot of women working. We got 2-parent home situations. Both of them are working. And myself right now, I'm working late nights. I don't get home till 6, sometimes 6:30. Sometimes the daycare closes at 6. You need grandparents to step in, feed your kids. And it used to be like grandparents would just see their kids on the weekend and then give them right back. They were heavily involved, just like regular parents are right now. And just kudos to all the grandparents, the aunts and uncles that are involved in outside of their own families that are really helping out, because in today's society, it's tough, based upon the economic growth on certain things. We're not getting paid a whole lot more, but everything's a lot more expensive. So you don't have, a mother or father sitting at home with the kids and one person's working. We got both parents work in a lot of situations, and we need that extra help. And just a big shout out to all the grandparents and everybody that's outside of the family that's really coming in helping. I mean, we couldn't do it without you. I appreciate you.
Awesome. That's a great way to end the show. Well, that's Sam, the coach. Good luck against Crest and trying to break your Cleveland County jinx. That's the guru, the number one voice of high school football, who is wide open today, yo. Cam, to get in training. Your picks are looking good, Cam. Dale, the historian. Gary, the human billboard. Says anything. Jonathan Grice, number 2 voice of high school football. And we are Talking Preps.